Hi everyone. I hope everyone's staying safe, washing their hands, getting a little bit of outside time. And if mommies and daddies are asking you to wear a mask, wear a mask. Masks are going to help protect us from germs. And we know that germs are the things that make us sick. Mr. Sean wears a mask. Every time he goes out, he goes, I don't want to get sick. So if mommies and daddies are asking you to do it, then do it. This week, we are going to be talking about Latin culture. What is culture? Culture is the way that different people celebrate different things and how they live their life. Some things we're going to be talking about Latin culture this week. We're going to be talking about music. We're going to be talking about food. We're going to be talking about art and traditions or celebrations. So Sean doesn't have his easel, but he does have a piece of a board. So we're talking about music. So we have maracas and we have drums. We have trumpets or different types of horns. And we have guitars. We also have some food. We have some chips and salsa or guacamole. We have some tacos or burritos, and we have some tamales. We also have some peppers. Because in Latin food, there's usually not a lot, but there's a good amount of spice. And that's okay if you don't like it. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Sometimes it upsets my tummy. Our book today is about a bull. And in this book, we're going to see a tradition in Spanish culture or Latin culture. It's called bullfighting. And that's not something we normally do. But I like to read this book because it shows a bunch of fun illustrations or drawings of the different way that they used to dress and how they dressed for celebrations. Today, our book is Ferdinand. Every book has an author and an illustrator. The author is the person who writes all the words. That is Monroe Leaf. And the illustrator, the person who drew all the pictures, is Robert Lawson. So let's start at the beginning so we know what happens. Once upon a time in Spain. We know that once upon a time usually means it's a fairy tale or a story that's been told for a very, very long time. It's going to teach us a lesson or teach us something. There was a little bull, and his name was Ferdinand. All the other little bulls he lived with would run around, jump, and butt their heads together. Looks like they're playing. But not Ferdinand. He liked to sit just quietly and smell the flowers. He had a favorite spot out in the pasture under a cork tree. There he goes, down to his cork tree. It was his favorite tree, and he would sit in the shade all day and smell the flowers. Sometimes his mother, who was a cow, would worry about him. She was afraid he would be lonesome or sad all by himself. Why don't you run and play with all the other little bulls and skip and butt your heads, she would say. But Ferdinand would shake his head. I like it better here, where I can just sit quietly and smell the flowers. His mother saw that he was not lonely, and because she was an understanding mother, even though she was a cow, she would let him sit there and be happy. As the years went by, Ferdinand grew and grew until he was very big and strong. He was pretty big. All the other bulls who had grown up with him in the same pasture is a field, would fight each other all day. They would butt each other and stick each other with their horns. They wanted most of all to be picked to fight in the bullfights in Madrid. But Ferdinand I'm sorry, but not Ferdinand. He still liked to just sit quietly under the cork tree and smell the flowers. One day, 5 men came in very funny hats to pick the biggest, fastest, roughest bull to fight in the bullfights in Madrid. All the other bulls ran around, snorting and butting, leaping and jumping, so the men would think that they were very, very strong and fierce, and maybe pick them. Ferdinand knew that they wouldn't pick him, and he didn't care, so he went out to his favorite cork tree and sat down. He didn't look where he was sitting, and instead of sitting on a nice, cool patch of grass in the shade, he sat on a bumblebee. Well, if you were a bumblebee and a bull tried to sit on you, what would you do? You would sting him. And that's just what that bee did. That's just what that bee did to Ferdinand. Wow, did it hurt. Ferdinand jumped up with a snort. He ran around, puffing and snorting, butting and pulling at the ground as if he was crazy. The 5 men saw him. They all shouted with joy. Here was the largest, fiercest bull of them all, just the one for the bullfights in Madrid. So they took him away for the bullfight. They took him away for the bullfight day in a cart. What a day it was! Flags were flying, bands were playing. And all the lovely ladies had flowers in their hair. And they had a parade into the bull ring. First came the banderillos with long, sharp pins with ribbons on them to stick the bulls and make him mad. Sorry guys, this book's a little old. It's been through a couple of days. It's been through several classes and it's falling apart a little bit. Next came the picadors, who rode skinny horses, and they had longer spears to stick the bull and make him even madder. Then came the matador, the proudest of all. He thought he was very handsome and bowed to all the ladies. He had a red cape and a sword that was supposed to stick the bull. Last of all, then came the bull. And you knew who that is, don't you? Where is he? They called him Ferdinand the Fierce, and all the banderillos were afraid of him, and the picadors were afraid of him, and the matador was scared stiff. Ferdinand ran out into the middle of the ring, and everyone shouted and clapped because they thought he was going to fight fiercely and butt and snort and stick his horns all around. But not Ferdinand. When he got to the middle of the ring, he saw the flowers and all the lovely ladies' hair, and he just sat down quietly and smelled. He wouldn't fight and he wouldn't be fierce no matter what they did. He just sat and smelled. And the banderillos were mad, and the pecadors were madder, and the matador was so mad he cried because he couldn't show off his cape and his sword. So they had to take Ferdinand home. And for all I know, he is sitting there still under his favorite cork tree, smelling the flowers just quietly. And he is very happy. So Ferdinand was a little different than everyone else. He didn't want to do the same things. He enjoyed life his way. He enjoyed being calm and smelling the flowers and just sitting there relaxing. Well, I hope everybody else is having a good day, staying safe, washing your hands, getting a little bit of outside time. And again, if mommies and daddies are telling you to wear a mask, wear a mask. Bye guys, I miss you. Hey parents, I miss you guys too. Our morning chats and our afternoon chats. See you guys tomorrow.